And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. The Mifflin Plan, introduced in 1996 as part of the Pacific Salmon Revitalization Strategy, aimed to reduce the size of Pacific salmon commercial fleet by implementing measures like regional licensing, gear-based licensing, and buyback program, all under the direction of Fisheries Minister Fred Mifflin. On today's Open Connection, we open our archives to bring you this story from 2000.
There used to be about 4,600 commercial salmon licenses on the West Coast. There are now only 2,000 after 3 years of license buybacks.
The area licensing provision and the stacking licenses under the Mifflin Plan has reduced the ability of local owner-operators to acquire multiple licenses so they can compete successfully in the fishery, and it's been really quite devastating to the central and north coasts.
Since the first Mifflin buyback, so over the last 4 or 5 years, we've probably lost 60 to maybe even close to 70% of our small boats, and probably at least that with our seiners, our larger boats, and maybe even more than that with our large seiners.
Thorkelson says the reduction in the North Coast fleet has greatly affected local businesses, which provide services like boat and net repairs.
A lot of businesses last 2 years ago went under, and I think everybody was looking at seeing what the outcome of the buyback was going to be to make a decision whether they needed to close this year or not, to see how many boats were going to be left in our community, to see how many fishermen were going to be left in our community. And I certainly wouldn't be surprised if people are assessing their business possibilities right now, and are looking that they're fairly dismal, I think, for many of the businesses in town.
The solution to the whole problem of maintaining a North Coast fishing fleet is believed to be the establishment of a community license bank, which would lease licenses back to local fishers, an idea which is not just supported by people in the industry.
I think that some sort of a way to keep licenses here and have vessels operating from here is very important to the service industry. Otherwise, it will deteriorate and we'll lose it completely.
The Coastal Communities Network, with funding from Fisheries Renewal BC, has hired Bob Brown from Simon Fraser University to look into how a license bank might work.
I've been looking at various models from other locations. I've been looking at the Northern Native Fisheries Corporation model, the Western Alaska Community Development quota system model, the American Land Banking model. I think at the end of the day, we're going to end up with something which parallels the kind of community credit union-oriented model.
Other than keeping licenses local, it is thought that a license bank will help control the number of licenses in the fishery.
You don't have to fish that license every year if the community license bank owns that license. So in a year when you know there's going to be few fish coming back, as opposed to a year when there's a lot of fish coming back, on a year when there's few fish, you can have probably few licenses will be leased from the bank, thereby lessening the impact on fish stocks. Whereas a year of large return, or expected large return, I would expect that almost all of the licenses in the license bank would be leased out. And you would have enough fishermen to catch that fish.
On top of that, it is hoped the license bank would extend beyond salmon.
At least my recommendation to the Coastal Communities Network will not limit the license bank to simply acquiring salmon licenses, but multiple licenses so that fishermen can fish year-round and have a good chance to make a living and not just depend on salmon.
Brown says the critical obstacle in setting up a license bank will be the initial funding for it, as it will cost around $15 million to buy 200 to 300 licenses.
And we're going to have to work on trying to develop an economic-based business plan for the proposals that I'm going to be putting forward, which will convince both private sector and government sector agencies that this is a viable economic enterprise that we're launching here.
We believe that the federal government should be funding the program, $15 million out of their, certainly out of their $400 million package that they keep talking about for this coast, would be a really good investment for them, because what it would do, it would take the imbalance that they've created by the buyback and driving people out of small coastal communities that have always depended on the fishery, make that imbalance back into balance, where we have fishermen who are able to retain jobs on the North Coast because they have licenses.
I don't see why it wouldn't be appropriate. The federal government has been very much involved in the fishing industry, and they have, well, if you talk to some people, they've been the cause of the fishing industry's demise. So why wouldn't they be involved in helping Prince Rupert stay on its feet in the fishing industry?
Another concern is the scope. Should the license banks service the whole coast, or should there be smaller banks in each community? The feeling on the North Coast is that it should be local.
And because it's going to take such a huge amount of time to set up a coast-wide licensing bank, and a lot of money to set up a coast-wide licensing bank, that maybe that we would be better off to have several small regional license banks. I mean, the Northern Native Fishing Corporation is an excellent example of a licensing bank. If it hadn't been for the NNFC, the North Coast would have lost probably another 250 jobs, 250 fishermen off the North Coast. The NNFC has guaranteed that we have 250 licenses kept on the North Coast.
I think that's critical to have a regional focus on this and look at those issues as North Coast and South Coast, keeping in mind that the people sort of in that center coast area might also have some unique needs, some unique challenges that would face some of the fishing families there.
Brown estimates it will take 2 to 3 years to get a license bank up and running. Thorkelson says the current situation dictates that it needs to happen quicker.
Right now, fishermen still have their vessels. Once the vessels are sold, or once the vessels are allowed to decay, then we will not just have a problem of licenses, we'll also have a problem of vessels on which to put those licenses. Right now, if we brought 30 or 40 licenses back to our community, we could come up with 30 or 40 boats. 3 years from now, we don't know if we could come up with 30 or 40 boats that would be ready to go fishing.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for saying this. The word derives from two Greek words, taxis, meaning order, preparation, and arrangement, and derma, meaning skin. Directly translated, taxidermy means skin art. The first known taxidermists were the ancient Egyptians. They developed early forms of animal preservation. Let us return to the archives to discover how one Kitimat man became a taxidermist.
25 years ago, I shot a bear, and I wanted to get it done, and I couldn't afford it, so I kind of taught myself how to do it. And that's how it all started. I just got this bear and started to learn how to do it myself. Read books and just started doing it.
The pieces multiplied to the point where Byron decided to open up the Wildlife Museum to the public. For the past 5 years, the museum has been attracting visitors from all over the world, including classes at area schools.
Everybody, I think, goes away knowing something that they didn't know before. You know, a lot of people don't realize how many animals there actually are around here. So when they come here and they see this and they learn something and they say, oh, you know, I didn't realize that that would live right around here. And especially the kids enjoy it. You know, you can really tell they go away from here and they've learned something when they leave. So I like that. I really enjoy that part of it.
Another part of the enjoyment is the unscheduled visitors. Byron just never knows who's going to stop by.
One guy came in here one time from California, and he spent probably here for an hour and went through at least 7 rolls of film. He was on his back. He was doing stuff that I didn't think was possible for a person to do, the way he was trying to get pictures there. So it's pretty cool. You get a lot of different people and a lot of different reactions from a lot of comments. Lots of comments.
It's those comments from both visitors and customers that encourage Byron to keep making the bear rugs and life-size wildlife. But regardless of the feedback, without a doubt, Byron thoroughly enjoys his work.
The deader they are, the better. Just trying to make it look real again. That's the only thing, that's the thing that's enjoyable about it, eh? That's the thing that makes it worthwhile, is to try and make it look real again. Try and give it a little bit of action. So that, you can picture it if it was outside, so it looks like it's still outside. And that's what they're doing in nature, so that's the whole idea of doing it.
While there are critics that don't agree with the whole idea of trying to make an animal look lifelike again, Byron believes that everyone should be open-minded when it comes to taxidermists.
I think they have to look at both sides of the story. There's always two sides to every story, and it depends on who you are. Well, I eat basically everything I hunt, so rather than throw the hide away, why not do something with it as well? I mean, it's, if you want to go to the grocery store and buy a steak, what's the difference in the end, But at least I'm doing something with the actual hair and whatever when it's all done. And it's an educational thing at the same time, You get people looking at it and they learn something just by looking at it. A lot of people have never seen anything like this out in the wild before, so they can get the idea of what nature is and what's out there with nature.
For Mike Byron, there's a great deal of pride that goes into each finished product, but in order to complete the entire process, it takes a great deal of time and patience.
There's the skinning, the salting, the tanning, getting the body ready, and then the actual mounting, and then the finish work at the end. So you got about 6 different steps that you have to take, and they all take, like, one of them will take one day, and then you got to wait a couple of days for another one because something has to dry or whatever, So it's time consuming.
Make no mistake, Byron puts in the time. He admits to being obsessed with what he calls his hobby and part-time business. While there's more competition for taxidermists than ever before, he says to do the job well, there's a knack to it.
Not anyone can just say, well, I'm going to learn how to do this. If you haven't got the eye for it, you can do something, but it'll never look finished. There's always more to do that, the guy that thinks he's done a good job, doesn't really realize what he's done. Mistakes are being made out there. But there's a lot of guys trying to do it now.
Practically every wildlife creature in British Columbia is featured in this museum, but now the problem is space. The 1,000-foot showroom is practically full.
Yeah, I need an addition, all right. But I don't know. This house is so big already to add on to it. I don't know. I really don't know if it's worthwhile to do it, If I won the lottery tomorrow, would I? Yeah, I would. I would add on for sure. I'd probably make it twice as big as it is right now, because then it wouldn't care, but...
If you'd like to tour the museum, there's a $4 fee for adults, and children under 12 are free. It's open in the summer months from 9 to 5, but basically Byron says just call, and if he's home, he'll show you around.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. In British Columbia, a woodlot refers to a small, area-based forest tenure, a unique arrangement between individuals or companies in the province of British Columbia, granting rights to manage and harvest timber on Crown land or publicly owned forest land. Let us return to our archives with Jay Baker.
We hold a license with the Ministry of Forests that gives us exclusive right to harvest timber on a portion of Crown land.
Baker's partner owns this land north of Smithers that they're currently horse logging. They contributed 130 hectares of land to an adjoining 422 hectares the government owns. They manage it all as a single unit, but still have to operate under the Forest Act and the Forest Practices Code.
Instead of making it into ranch land or something like that, we decided to go after a woodlot license and commit that land to sustainable forest management, growing trees instead of hayfields.
To get the license, Baker and his partner had to show the Forest Ministry that they have the knowledge, training, and experience in forest management to run a successful operation. Being that the nature of all woodlot licenses is long-term, they also had to show how they propose to manage the area, things like road and bridge building, silviculture, and water management.
In theory, I should have this license when I'm 60 years old. So I can watch the trees that we harvest today, I can watch the new plantations that we establish grow for for that long and take some ownership on that. And the license is set up to be passed down to family members. So in theory, the ground I'm harvesting today, my son can harvest in 80 years.
Today there are about 800 woodlots across BC, including 16 in the Bulkley Valley. The province's woodlot license program was designed 6 years ago to give private citizens the chance to be seriously involved in small-scale forestry. Nearly all of the licensees do it as a hobby they feel passionate about, as well as a way to add a small supplement to their regular income.
These woodlot owners have got to treat it like a tree farm, sort of. They log it, they reforest it, silviculture work.
Baker and other woodlot licensees sell their logs to large companies like Skeena Cellulose and Pacific Inland Resources, as well as smaller specialty companies like Seton Valley Timber. PIR has bought trees from a dozen woodlots in the Valley and Lakes District in the last year.
The woodlot owner, he will go to this mill, to another mill, to get a price for his product, for his wood. And I guess it's just a competitive, the market. And
this year, 18% of PIR's total production at the Smithers Mill comes from woodlots in the area. Management there says having access to woodlot logs is very helpful to the company. It keeps people employed in the sawmill and provides a new and close source of timber.
Well, it's probably the volume that this mill needs to run. It's there if it's a competitive thing too. I mean, you have to compete for it, but it's purchase volume.
The Bulkley Valley Woodlot Association was formed a couple of years ago to get access to forest renewal funding and to share knowledge and expertise with each other.
It's been a great organization for me. It helped me through the whole process of selling logs and marketing logs and knowing how to go about it. I learned a lot from meeting with my fellow licensees on that.
The program is expected to grow to 1,000 woodlots very soon to hopefully increase productivity by having a hands-on, intimate relationship with everything happening inside and out of the woodlot.
I suppose we could have conventionally logged where we horse logged, but that might have meant more damage to the residual stand that we're leaving behind. So I would hope that through this small-scale management that we're increasing productivity and maximizing it as best we can.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Eunice Kennedy Shriver believed that if people with intellectual disabilities were given the same opportunities and experiences as everyone else, they would accomplish far more than everyone ever thought possible. In 1968, Shriver hosted the first Special Olympics in Chicago. In this final segment of Open Connection, we return to the archives with Caroline Matlin.
For the past 3 years, Caroline Matlin has been skating in Special Olympics. Now she's about to take part in the BC Winter Games, and it's her first competition. She's the only athlete from the North competing in her division, and the 16-year-old is looking forward to the whole experience, including traveling independently for the first time.
Yeah, very excited. I hope to meet new people. I'm nervous about it, but I think I'll do okay.
Like every athlete, family support is important, and Caroline gets lots. Her mother is at practically every practice, watching intently.
Well, I like to see the progress that she's making, overcome her frustrations, becoming more confident.
And Caroline has become more confident on the ice, thanks in large part to her volunteer coach. You know her as our NTV news anchor, Tess Van Straten. She's been skating since she was 17 months old, and now finds time once a week to give back to the sport that she loves most.
I love skating, and I think teaching skating is one of the most wonderful things because I get to do what I love, and I also get to see Caroline, first of all, say she can't do it when I show her something new, and then a week later, sure enough, she's doing it. So that gives me a lot of satisfaction, I guess, to see her improve and grow and really like it.
And Caroline really likes her coach. She looks up to Tess and feels great about her on-ice improvement.
She teaches me how to go into my spins and how to get higher at my waltz jump. And she teaches me how to stretch, tells me how to stretch.
We really appreciate her coming early Saturday mornings over winter roads to do this. And without her as the coach, I'm quite sure that Caroline would not be going to the BC Games.
She's going to be skating to the song Take a Look at Me Now, and while Caroline admits that she wants a gold medal at the Games in Quesnel, others around her have different expectations.
I'm hoping that she has a really good time and meets new friends and just has a wonderful experience.
I just want Caroline to do her best at the Winter Games. Because I've never been at a Special Olympics competition, I have no idea what to expect, but I think she's doing very well, and I think she has the potential to do very well. So we'll hope for the best and see what happens.
When Caroline doesn't skate, she likes bowling. Both sports give her enjoyment.
I figure skate because I like it and I want to learn how to do spins and jumps. And it's just fun.
And Caroline carries that fun into generic sports. She gets extra practice skating with the pre-juvenile precision team at the Snow Valley Skating Club, and she also took part in the Can Skate program at an elementary school. For Caroline Maitland, she wants to keep progressing.
I'd like to keep skating for a long time. I think it's really fun.
It's mostly down to the finishing work on the $2.3 million McConnell Estate project. This building next to Terrace View Lodge is supportive housing for seniors, a relatively new concept. The 22 units are equipped with kitchens, and tenants are expected to live quite independently. But a variety of services will also be available, such as emergency response and 1 meal a day. The Northern Health Authority is now inviting seniors to apply to become the first tenants here, and it's devised a scoring system to determine who will get in.
They are affordable units for the majority of the clients, so that'll be based on no more than, they won't be paying rent for more than 30% of their income. So there'll be a subsidy that is provided to us from BC Housing to help top up the rent to bring it to market rent.
However, financial need isn't the only criteria, and seniors who don't need a subsidy will be considered too.
You know, if you don't have affordability issues at the moment, then you don't get those points. But you may have health issues, and that may get you in the door. So there's no set number in the point score system that will get you in the door at any one time. Initially, it'll probably be fairly high.
The target for moving tenants in here is June 1st, so a deadline of April 22nd has been set for applications. And Joel Seth is already fielding lots of questions.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.